Welcome back to Jerusalem. Pastor Dumasani Washington is a very busy man. He's our CUFI, National Diversity Outreach Coordinator, working to build support for Israel among Christians from all racial and ethnic backgrounds. He's also heading up an exciting new initiative for Christians United for Israel called the Mizrahi Project. Now, it tells the story of the forgotten Jewish refugees who were forced to flee Arab and Muslim lands during the 20th century. I sat down with Pastor Dumasani recently at our CUFI Washington Summit to learn more about this powerful initiative. Take a look.
Probably since the 90s, I was fascinated with the Jewish diaspora, the Ethiopian Jews, Jews of India, Burma, and all of those things. But I didn't know about the Mizrahi story, the story of the over 850,000 Jewish refugees from North Africa and the Middle East. Even within the Jewish community, some are not aware of the Jews from Iraq and from Iran and from Libya and from Egypt. When you're talking about the Jews of Iraq, you're talking about the Jews of Babylon, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. When you talk about the Jews of Iran, you talk about the Jews of Persia, Esther, Mordecai. I mean, this is the Bible literally come to life. So that's how old these Jewish communities are. 2,000, 3,000 years old, some of them. And so what you have here is a story of them being expelled by, we say now Arab Muslim lands. Of course, they weren't Arab Muslim lands in the beginning, but that's who actually expelled them. And so it's a parallel story. You have the Arab-Israeli conflict. Here comes Israel, it emerges, it gets its independence in 1948. And so there's the Arab-Israeli wars. And we understand that there's some 700 Palestinian Arabs who were displaced, and some who became citizens of Israel, others because we know the Arab nations told them, hey, you get out there, we're going to destroy this Jewish state, and then you're going to go back and take that land. It did not happen. Israel was victorious in defending its indigenous homeland, but at the same time, Jews who were in Algeria and Morocco and Libya and other places were being expelled by these lands. In 48, and particularly in 67 too, after the 67 war, there's a lot of retribution taken on the Jewish people who were in those lands. In Iraq, for example, in 1941, they had what's called the Farhud, which is an Arabic word for, the pogrom, the putting down, the destruction of. It was organized by the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, who, of course, his counterpart was Adolf Hitler there in Europe. So they partnered together. So it was a worldwide, it wasn't simply the Jews of Poland and Germany, which was horrific, but there's the beginning of the Jews being killed in other parts of North Africa and the Middle East that happened. And then in terms of dates, this was some 7-8 years before Israel's independence. So that wasn't even connected to the Jewish state. It was just an uprising against the Jewish people.
I was born in Iraq, 1940. They start not allowing people to go to school, not allowed to, Jewish can't go to the college. It's called the Hizb al-Ba'ath, the Ba'ath regime. And they hate the Jews, they didn't want them. They start to find an excuse to take them, to put them in jail. They took 11 men, young, for nothing, hang them in the middle of the park. And all the people, Arab, came out and they start celebrating. They know that this family in this house is Jewish.
When you see those old pictures of Tel Aviv and these refugee tents that are there, these are Jews. So Israel as a government is fighting a war and receiving hundreds of thousands of refugees from the North Africa and the Middle East. This is all going on at the same time. It makes the whole God miraculous thing even more so. So they're fighting this war. They win the war, but they're also trying to find jobs, housing, all these other types of things. And so this is what happens. They come, they build a nation. And this is what they'll say. They'll tell you, Dumasani, they'll tell CUFI, we're so grateful, we're glad that you're telling our story. But one of the reasons why our story isn't told, there's multiple reasons, but one of those reasons is because we made lies for ourselves. We didn't attempt to take retribution on the Arab lands. We didn't attempt to try to destroy them. And I love the way that one of our leaders said, we didn't begin to, our own intifada, if you will. What we did, we built the state of Israel. We came, and that's how the modern state, the miraculous story, has to do a lot with the Mizrahi community who comes and builds it from basically nothing that's there. Jews from Libya, from Yemen, from Egypt, Some live in Israel now and some live in the United States. And our amazing guy, Raj Nair, who's part of Israel Collective, they're just interviewing the people and they're asking them questions and they're letting them know and they're telling them the stories about maybe the Farhoods from Iraq or how they escaped out of Libya and everything. And so that's what the goal is, to let them tell their story in about a 3-minute format. They can watch it on their phones and watch it on however they access it there on the internet. And in that, they can click on it, get more information. So there's, even on our website, there's a map. You can click on which country you want to find out about and that Mizrahi community as well.
The Egyptians were sure that they were gonna win the war against Israel. And unbelievably, within 6 days, the Israel won the war. The Egyptians, especially the Egyptian government, wanted to take revenge. And to take revenge against whom? Against the Jews who lived in Egypt. So what they did was take every Jewish man from the age of 18 till the age of 55, and they put them in detention camps. But it was not only a detention camp, it was a torture prison.
As Christians United for Israel, all 3.5 million members, it is our goal to tell this story throughout our networks, but out to the world as well, so that that whole moniker of forgotten refugees is completely gone. It's forgotten no more, that we remember who they are. And we make that a part of our story. And I'll also add to our pastors as well. Because it's the Bible come to life, and we're talking about what happened in the book of Daniel, happened in the book of Esther, and we're making that connection in terms of Israel's solidarity. Here are Daniel's descendants. Here are Esther's descendants. Here they are returning to the land. Here's another reason why we stand with Israel and the Jewish people, and we defend their right to exist, defend their right to continue to build their homeland, because God said he'd call them back home, and that's exactly what he's doing right now.
Thanks again to Pastor Dumasani for sharing the heart-wrenching story of the forgotten Jews. You can learn more about the Mizrahi Project and watch their powerful videos by visiting themizrahiproject.org. Well, up next, my final thoughts on why maintaining a strong U.S.-Israel relationship matters to you. Don't move.